God's whisper and the invisible danger. Listen, my daughter. Silence everything around you now. Close the eyes of the body and open the eyes of the soul. Because in this very moment, something invisible is happening. Forces you cannot see are moving around you. Doors are opening, and some of them weren't opened by God. Listen, God is whispering to your heart, but it's not just any whisper. It's a warning, an urgent call, a divine alert straight from heaven. My son, my daughter, you are closer to the edge than you realize. You're walking with confidence, but your steps are leading toward a place that could destroy everything. And why can't you see it? Because the enemy doesn't come looking like an enemy. He comes disguised as comfort, good opportunities, easy paths. He hides in small compromises, little distractions, meaningless decisions you make on autopilot. But each of them is a thread being pulled, a crack widening, another step toward a silent abyss. And God sees all of this with the eyes of a father. He doesn't shout. He whispers. Because whispers are for those who are near. And he is near. He always has been. He's trying to wake you up before it's too late. Not out of fear, but out of love. He doesn't want to test you through pain. He doesn't want to see you suffer, stumble, fall. He wants to protect you before the storm arrives. But for that to happen, you must open the ears of your heart. You must stop, breathe, and listen until the very last word. Every syllable he speaks is a shield. Every breath from him is a map to escape the trap this world lays for you every single day. And here's the truth few are willing to hear. You are under attack even without realizing it. The enemy is subtle. He doesn't destroy all at once. He erodes you slowly. With distractions, with exhaustion, with hurry, with fear, with lies that sound like truth. That's why God insists, my son, my daughter, pay attention. Not everything that shines is my light. Not every open door was opened by me. How many times have you followed paths because they seemed right, only to find out they led you away from peace? How many times have you ignored that inner voice saying wait, and ended up in pain because you rushed? Today, God is calling you again. Not with guilt, but with compassion. He's saying, you can still stop. You can still hear me. You can still come back. He's saying, you are not alone in this invisible war. But if you keep ignoring my touch, you'll be fighting spiritual enemies with human weapons, and you'll get hurt. The choice is yours, but the warning is his. And he never warns in vain. This very moment you're living, this exact second as you watch or listen, is not a coincidence. It was marked in heaven. God knew you would hear this call. And he knew that deep in your heart, there is still faith, still a flame, still a hunger for direction, for meaning, for truth. So listen, before the night falls, he wants to be your light. Before the wind rises, he wants to be your shelter. Before the abyss approaches, he wants to be your bridge. But you must answer the whisper. Not with haste, not with panic, but with reverence. Take a deep breath. Place your hand over your heart. Feel life pulsing. Feel God saying, I am here, and I always have been. This is the moment of awakening. A time to see beyond what your physical eyes can perceive, to recognize the invisible dangers, and to walk back into the safe arms of the Father. He does not condemn you. He invites you. He loves you. And that love, right now, is trying to save you from something you haven't even realized yet. Not all that shines is light, the silent warning that could save your life. Not every opportunity is a breakthrough. Not every presence is a gift. Not every glow points to the right direction. We live in a world where the most dangerous traps aren't obvious. They come disguised as solutions. Have you ever walked through doors that seemed perfect, only to end up more lost than before? Some paths are cleverly disguised traps. Some people show up with smiles and the right words, but carry hidden intentions. Some offers are just well-decorated distractions designed to delay your purpose. Here's the warning. Haste can land you in the wrong place. The more desperate you are to fix everything, the more vulnerable you become to choices that look right, but pull you backward. And the problem? At first, everything looks beautiful. It's exciting. It's new. It's seductive. But when the thrill fades, what's left? exhaustion, confusion. You need to pause. You need to ask yourself, is this truly right, or does it just look right? Does this person lift me up, or drain me? Does this door set me free, or trap me deeper? Because not every opportunity comes to bless. Some come to test your ability to say no. Some are meant to pull you off track and lead you into a dead end. The world pressures you to move fast. Go. Don't waste time. But wisdom has no urgency. Clarity doesn't come from impulse. It's born in silence, in observation, in reflection. Have you noticed how certain connections drain your energy without you realizing it? People who come with endless promises, but leave a trail of emotional exhaustion. Partnerships that seem amazing, but constantly stir inner conflict. Relationships that begin intensely, but slowly chip away at your confidence and identity. Be careful with what dazzles quickly. The brightest glow might be exactly what blinds you. Not everything that glitters is gold. Sometimes it's bait. And the most dangerous part? The deadliest poison doesn't taste bitter. It comes gently. It feels sweet. It seems right. It seduces you with words you long to hear. Wraps you in promises that seem like answers. But in the end, all it does is lead you astray. That's when you need something few use these days: discernment. The ability to see beyond the surface. To sense what's behind the invitation. To know when an external yes should be an internal no. You are not here to please everyone. You are not here to accept everything that shows up. You are not led by anxiety. You are led by purpose. And purpose requires firm, conscious, and often lonely decisions. How many times have you felt deep down that something was off, but ignored your instinct? How many times did you say yes out of loneliness, impulse, or fear of missing out, and later realized the cost was too high? You need courage. Courage to close doors everyone thinks you should keep open. Courage to walk away from people others think are perfect. Courage to say, this isn't for me, even when everything seems to suggest otherwise. True success doesn't come from saying yes to everything. It comes from having the wisdom to recognize what deserves a no. Not everything that comes easy is a blessing. Not every shortcut is an advantage. Sometimes, the right path is the one that demands patience, silence, and strength. So stop. Breathe. Look again. Ask yourself, does this bring me closer to my truth, or take me further away? Does this decision bring peace, or pressure? Does this choice align, or just excite? You have a compass within you. It's called discernment, and it doesn't fail when you learn to listen. Choosing well is the difference between building a purposeful future or constantly repairing avoidable mistakes. Wrong doors can be seductive. Wrong people know exactly how to appear right. But truth always comes to light. The bill always arrives. And regret always demands a price. The good news? You still have time. Time to pause. Time to reflect. Time to course correct. You don't have to keep holding on to ties that weaken you. You don't have to stay in stories that clearly don't help you grow. You don't have to settle for less just because you're afraid of being alone. Your peace is worth more than any presence. Your clarity is worth more than any offer. Your truth is worth more than any illusion. And if today you choose to slow down, to observe more deeply, and to value yourself more boldly, you'll avoid unnecessary pain. You'll attract what truly aligns. You'll walk with lightness instead of carrying invisible weights. In the end, life is not about how many doors you open. It's about which ones you had the courage to close. Not every opportunity is a win. The enemy disguises himself as light. Have you ever stopped to think that some defeats begin with a smile? That certain downfalls start with an innocent yes, given to the wrong person? Today, this message doesn't come to comfort you. It comes to wake you up. Not every open door leads you forward. Not every connection lifts you higher. Not every chance is a step toward success. Some are traps that smell like opportunity. We live in a time where everything screams, hurry, grab it, say yes. But the biggest mistakes people make happen when they act without thinking. Haste doesn't lead to destiny, it leads to detours. Have you ever stepped into something that felt right, but in the end cost you your peace, your time, and your energy? Exactly. Some doors aren't meant to be opened, they're meant to be avoided. And the problem is, they don't come with warning signs. They come with compliments, with promises, with the appearance of solutions. But behind the curtain, they carry weight, exhaustion, and confusion. Be careful with what comes too easily. Be careful with those who say exactly what you want to hear. Be careful with connections that seem magical, but leave you more drained than before. You need to develop an inner radar, an emotional filter, a sharp sense that sees beyond charisma, appearances, and excitement. Because today, what we see most are ties disguised as affection, partners who drain more than they add, invitations that delay your mission, paths lit up that lead to dark dead ends. And the worst part? You've already felt something was off, but went ahead anyway, because it seemed too good to refuse. That's the point. The seduction of the immediate hides the disaster of the long term. You need to stop walking with just your eyes. You need to learn to see with discernment. Some people show up to distract, not to add. Some offers come to pull you off track, not to accelerate your progress. How many times have you said yes just out of loneliness? How many times did you enter a cycle out of fear of missing a chance? And now, you carry the consequences alone? No, that's not bad luck. It's distraction. And today, the greatest trap isn't obvious evil. It's evil in disguise. There are people who look like angels, but plant doubt. Doors that seem like blessings, but drain your strength. Relationships that promise relief, but charge your essence as the price. You don't have to live like that anymore. You can, and must, create a new decision code. If it steals my peace, it's not for me. If it confuses me, it's not right. If it requires me to lose myself, it's the wrong path. Your clarity is worth more than others' applause. Your peace is worth more than any good opportunity. You were born to live in high performance, not to survive in emotional exhaustion. So stop now and think, what doors do you need to close? What people do you need to release? What invitations do you need to decline? It's no use wanting to go far while carrying invisible weights. It's no use aiming for the top if your connections pull you down. You need to understand something urgently. Not everything that seems right is right. And if you keep being guided only by what shines, you'll fall into cycles that drain your soul. True light doesn't pressure you. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't demand that you sacrifice your emotional health or your integrity. If a situation makes you feel small, if it makes you question your worth, if it keeps you in constant alert mode, that's not light. It's a trap. And here's a piece of advice no one gives you. Have the courage to disappoint the world, so you don't disappoint yourself. Saying no is also success. Walking away from destructive cycles is also victory. Closing the wrong doors is the strategy of the wise. You're one decision away from changing everything. But for that, you need to silence the noise around you. You need to hear what your inner voice has been whispering for weeks. This connection is draining you. This partnership doesn't respect you. This path doesn't match your truth. Stop ignoring these warnings. Stop pretending everything's okay when deep down, you know it's not. You deserve more. You deserve lightness. You deserve relationships that don't confuse, but build. Doors that don't deceive, but elevate. So take a deep breath. And if needed, break away. Close it. Say no. Walk away. Sometimes, the most powerful move of your life is the decision not to enter. The scream no one hears, but it's destroying you from the inside. There are pains that make no sound. There are tears that fall in front of no one, yet drown you on the inside. There are days when your soul screams, and no one hears it. You've been there, haven't you? That moment when you shut yourself in your room, in silence. It's not drama. It's not exaggeration. It's exhaustion. You don't want attention. You want peace. You want to breathe without that weight in your chest. You want to wake up without feeling like you're carrying the whole world. The problem is, people don't always notice. You smile. You say, I'm fine. You keep going. But inside, you're imploding. And the cruelest part? It's when you start to believe you're truly alone. That no one sees. No one feels. No one cares. But here's the truth. You have been seen. Even in your silence. Even in the tears no one wiped away. Even in that sigh you let out, alone, sitting on the edge of your bed. There are things you've held in for so long, they've started to hurt in silence. Wounds no one sees, but that shape you every single day. Things you've never told anyone, and maybe never will. Yet they still consume you. You learned how to look strong, how to wear the mask of maturity, how to do everything for everyone, while abandoning yourself inside. But let me tell you something you may have never heard. You don't have to carry everything alone. You weren't made to bear the weight of the whole world on your shoulders. You don't need to be invincible to be worthy of love. You just need to be real. Because everyone has a limit. Even the strongest get tired. Even the most optimistic collapse. Even those who always help eventually need to be rescued. How many times have you held back tears so you wouldn't worry anyone? How many times have you faked strength just to avoid disappointing others? How many times have you looked in the mirror and said, "It'll pass," without believing it? The truth is, not all exhaustion goes away with a night of sleep. Some pain only fades when we finally admit, "I'm not okay." And there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. The real mistake is forcing yourself to keep ignoring what's killing you inside. You have the right to stop, to breathe, to ask for help, to cry without shame, to care for yourself without guilt. There are traumas you buried, but they still control you. Unresolved situations, childhood wounds, swallowed frustrations, disappointments that turned into open scars. And you know what the problem is? The more you ignore them, the more they grow in the dark. Ignored pain becomes a block. Unhealed hurt becomes self-sabotage. Built-up silence becomes an internal explosion. You need to speak, even if it's just to yourself, even if it's on paper, even if it's into your pillow. But stop pretending. Stop trying to be perfect all the time. You don't need to be the strong one in the story forever. You need to be the true protagonist of your healing. Some tears are seeds. They don't reveal weakness, they reveal depth. Shallow people don't cry, but deep souls feel and allow themselves to feel. You might be living one of your worst days. You might feel lost, drained, invisible. But pay attention. You're still here. That alone is proof of strength. How many times did you think you wouldn't make it, and you made it? How many times did you want to give up, but chose to keep going? That's not weakness. That's raw courage. And even if the world didn't see it, you did. You know the price you've paid. You know the weight you carry. You understand the pain no one else does. And that's exactly why you need to prioritize yourself. Set boundaries. Step away from environments that make you sick. Care for your mind like you care for your body. Care for your heart like a still open wound. Because if you keep ignoring the emotional alarms, your body will start to scream. It'll scream through unexplained fatigue, through anxiety that tightens your chest, through aches with no clear cause. Because what isn't resolved in the soul manifests in the flesh. And sometimes, the most dangerous silence is the one hiding a storm. What you don't name consumes you. But the good news is, there's still time. You can start over. You can ask for help, without shame. You can turn grief into strength, pain into expression, scars into wisdom. But it all starts with one simple, yet powerful gesture. Stop abandoning yourself. Stop betraying yourself to please others. Stop swallowing tears to keep up appearances. Stop staying silent just to avoid bothering anyone. You are more important than any external expectation. You deserve care even when you're not producing. You deserve love even when you're not okay. You deserve to be heard even when you don't know how to explain. Because your feelings are valid. Your suffering is not weakness. It's a sign that something in you still beats, still fights. And if today you're crying in silence, know this. That cry is not weakness, it's cleansing. It's truth pouring from your eyes. It's your soul saying it needs to breathe. Because tears also heal. Tears also free. Tears reveal that you still feel, and whoever feels is alive. And whoever is alive can still change everything, can still reinterpret, reinvent. It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen. The chance to start over always lives in the present. Everything changes when you choose to listen to yourself, to care for yourself, to prioritize yourself. Those who breathe but do not live. The delusion of survival in the invisible labyrinth. There's a kind of prison with no bars. A form of torture that leaves no visible marks. People go through entire days with their bodies in motion, yet their souls are locked away in a nameless cell. Have you seen those eyes? Alive, yet empty. People who breathe, walk, smile on autopilot, but are being devoured from the inside by something they can't name. They call it routine. But deep down, it's a silent curse. Wake, produce, rush, consume, sleep, repeat. Always repeat. Always survive. Never live. What was once a dream has become a task. What was once hope has turned into pressure. And the more you move, the more you feel yourself sinking into an invisible sludge that drags your strength downward. No one sees it, but you feel it. A weariness that sleep can't cure. An anxiety that won't be silenced by distractions. An emptiness that screams amid the daily noise. As if your mind teeters on the edge of collapse, yet no one around you notices. It's like screaming inside your own head without making a sound. That's the difference between living and surviving. Surviving is falling into the illusion that merely existing is enough. It's waking up and reaching for your phone, trying to fill yourself with voices that only intensify your anxiety. It's counting down the days to the weekend like it's a release from a sentence. It's numbing yourself with tasks and goals, because thinking is scarier than producing. Surviving is fear disguised as performance. It's self-preservation wearing the mask of success. Now living is almost an act of rebellion. Living is pausing without guilt. It's finding awareness in the chaos. It's stopping in the middle of the storm and noticing there's still a breeze on your face, and that you still feel it. Living is finding purpose in the madness. It's enjoying something that brings no financial return. It's laughing at something no one else understood. It's allowing yourself to be, not just to function. But how many people do you know who truly live? This is where the silent terror sets in. Most people have already given up without realizing it. They survive like smiling zombies. They've grown used to the echo. They've learned to recite soulless lines. And the more they try to fill the emptiness with achievements, the more that emptiness grows. Because this kind of void isn't healed by physical presence, but by genuine presence. This isn't cheap spirituality. It's not canned self-help. It's raw reality. There's something in you that's dying, and pretending everything's fine only speeds up the process. Maybe you feel that truly living is a luxury for a select few. Something reserved for special, enlightened, or lucky people. But that belief is the worst kind of prison. The one that convinces you it's not worth trying. That it's impossible to get there. As if abundance were a myth. A sort of emotional mirage that only fools believe in. But what if it's real? What if this sense of disconnection is actually a calling? What if this emptiness is a hidden map, pointing to a life beyond the machinery? To truly live requires courage. Courage to stop. Courage to let go of speed. Courage to admit you might be going too fast, in the wrong direction. Courage to not know the answers, yet ask the questions anyway. The shift from surviving to living begins when you recognize the invisible monster. The fear of stopping. Because stopping means listening. And listening sometimes means facing truths you've hidden even from yourself. But here lies the most shadowy and transformative truth. Facing the darkness is the only way to truly see the light. When you choose to feel, not just think, you begin to notice signs everywhere. A silence fuller than 1,000 voices, a hand on your shoulder that gives you chills, a seemingly trivial encounter that rearranges your inner world. That's the opening. The portal. The turning point. Will you keep merely existing, or will you start to live? The choice may seem small now, but it redefines everything. And with every step away from autopilot, you break ancestral curses. Of hurry, of pressure, of guilt, of absence. You reconnect with something nameless, yet always there, whispering between the noise. And it's at that threshold, where fear almost convinces you to return to the known zone, that the next step is born. The haunting emptiness. How the lack of meaning is slowly killing us, and no one wants to talk about it. There's a kind of death that never makes the news. It involves no blood, no sirens, no funerals. It's a slow, silent, emotional death. And it's happening right now, right before our eyes, in meeting rooms, on overloaded timelines, in conversations stripped of meaning. It's the death of the soul. Have you felt it? A kind of deep boredom that goes beyond tiredness. A feeling of being present in a world that doesn't see you. A discomfort that arises when you've achieved everything you were told was important, and yet you still feel a hole in your chest. Most people hide it. They add filters, plans, packed schedules. They pretend it's all fine. Because facing the emptiness head-on hurts. And it's frightening. Because the emptiness doesn't speak, it whispers, "You are wasting your life." This lack of meaning is the new monster of our nights. A sophisticated, invisible enemy slowly draining our vitality. And the more we try to silence the question why, with distractions, the louder it returns. Because human beings weren't made just to function. We were made to matter. But today, to matter feels like a lost art. Have you noticed? We're always busy, but with what? Producing? For whom? Speeding up? Toward where? Existential questions have been replaced by quarterly goals, and inner silence buried under notifications. It's the noise that keeps us from hearing what truly matters. And something even more frightening, many have grown used to this emptiness. They've become experts at ignoring it. They've created versions of themselves to fit into molds, to not disturb, to go with the flow. And the cost is high. Shallow relationships, silent crises, sleepless nights, and the nagging feeling of losing something you can't quite name. This kind of loss can't be seen in the mirror. It lives in the details, in that stifled terror in the office bathroom, in that laughter a little too loud to be real, in the sudden, unexplainable urge to disappear for a few days, or forever. This is killing you, slowly, but surely, and no one's talking about it because it hurts too much to admit. We're exhausted from pretending. We want to belong to something deep, something meaningful, something that makes us feel truly alive, not just surviving in a world that rewards production but neglects presence. Here's a truth few dare to face. There is no magic formula. There is confrontation. You'll have to descend to the bottom of your emotional well and face the echo of your own emptiness. You'll have to cry the tears you've held back for years. You'll have to admit the success they promised you isn't feeding your soul. You'll have to admit you are lost. But that admission, contrary to how it feels, is the first step toward finding meaning again. Because it's at the bottom of the well where the question that truly matters is born. What makes my life worth living? And no, you won't find that answer in inspirational quotes or online gurus. That answer only comes to those who dare to stay in silence long enough to hear what has always been there. Your essence. That version of you uncorrupted by the fear of failure. That didn't need to shrink to fit. That knew how to love without walls, to create without fear, to exist with joy. It's still there. Hidden. Wounded maybe. But alive. And it's here, in this place of absolute discomfort, that the next step reveals itself. Will you keep silencing the cry of your soul with distractions? Or will you listen to it until it becomes direction? Because the emptiness only remains a monster while you pretend it doesn't exist. The anatomy of meaning, where the source that rekindles the soul lies, and how to find it again before it's too late. There comes a point when the soul begins to wither. No noise can distract, no routine can numb. Only the discomfort of feeling outside of your own body, as if life is unfolding behind a glass window, and you're on the outside, unable to touch it. And the worst part? No one notices. Because on the outside, everything seems normal. You still answer, "I'm fine," with a socially acceptable smile. But inside, something is breaking. Have you ever tried quenching soul thirst with water? Sought comfort in a screen's glow, hoping some post, some video, some revelation might breathe life back into you? It's like trying to feed hunger with smoke. Nothing fills. It's in that devastated, silent internal landscape that the question arises, the one that changes everything. What am I truly missing? This is where the anatomy of meaning begins. Because finding meaning isn't about adding more layers, it's about peeling away the false ones. It's about digging to the roots. returning to the place before the performance, before the expectations, before the fear, where the essence still pulses even if suffocated. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11 verse 28. This isn't a feel-good quote for a motivational poster. It's a spiritual diagnosis. It's a calling. Are you tired? Burdened? Is your soul in ruins behind a socially functional mask? Then maybe meaning isn't lost. Maybe it's just hidden, in the one place no one dares to look. Living with purpose isn't about having grand plans. It's about being connected to a source that doesn't run dry when everything else fails. And this source, as paradoxical as it sounds, doesn't shout. It whispers. It waits. It remains. But be warned, returning to it comes at a cost. You'll have to surrender the idol of control. You'll have to accept that you are not omnipotent, not indestructible, not self-sufficient. You'll have to unlearn the addiction to self-reliance. And it hurts. It's like removing a mask you forgot you were wearing and seeing, for the first time, your real face. But only that face can truly live. Only that version of yourself, stripped bare, honest, fragile, can drink from the source that rekindles the soul. And you know what happens when you get close to that origin? You stop searching for meaning in places that only offer crumbs. You slow down, not from exhaustion, but from wisdom. You understand that being whole matters more than being right. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. John 4 verse 14. This isn't a poetic metaphor. It's a real alternative to the silent agony of a meaningless existence. And maybe, just maybe, what you've been calling emptiness all this time was hunger for the eternal. Now, the decision is in front of you. Will you keep chasing shortcuts that drain you? Or will you walk, even if afraid, toward the source that transforms? Next, we'll uncover what's most been keeping us from this journey. The lie of self-sufficiency. Why we believe handling everything alone is the only proof of worth. From an early age, someone taught you, with words or with silence, that showing weakness was dangerous. That asking for help was a character flaw. That admitting pain was the same as losing control. So you learned to endure, to mask, to say, "I'm fine," while bleeding inside. And thus was born the most destructive myth of modern life, self-sufficiency as the ultimate virtue. You carry the world on your shoulders and call it strength. You swallow your tears in the office bathroom and call it maturity. You sleep poorly, live exhausted, but keep smiling on autopilot, because showing weariness would mean admitting that maybe you need someone. But here's the truth no one wants to face. This total independence is killing you. Slowly, silently, because we weren't made to handle everything alone. We weren't designed to solve life without support, without being heard, without a safe embrace. What the world calls weakness is actually the first step toward restoration. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Ecclesiastes 4 verses 9 to 10. But when was the last time you allowed someone to lift you up? When was the last time you truly said, "I'm not okay, and it's okay not to be"? This idea that only those who manage it all alone are worthy is a subtle trap. It promises you respect, but gives you loneliness. Promises control, but delivers exhaustion. Promises admiration, but demands emotional silence. You become an example at work, but a stranger to yourself. And here comes the worst part. The more you try to be strong alone, the further you drift from real connection. From healing conversations. From eyes that hold space. From arms that ask for no explanation. You close off, harden, shut down, and you start to wither. From the inside, where no one can see. Self-sufficiency is a poison disguised as virtue. And the antidote is courage. Courage to admit that you need, that you feel, that you get tired. You don't have to impress anyone. You need to breathe without guilt. Sleep without the mask. Be vulnerable without apologizing for it. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. What does that mean? That the strength that truly sustains us only shows up when we stop pretending, when we surrender, when we say, "I've tried doing this alone, and I can't anymore." And no, that's not the end. It's the beginning, because it's at the end of our strength that the true source reveals itself. It's when you reach your limit that you discover, it's not you holding it all together. It's someone holding you. But for that to happen, you must let go. Let go of control. Let go of the persona that's always okay. Let go of the fear of disappointing. Because those who truly love you don't want your performance. They want you. The Armored Heart Syndrome. How to learn to breathe again even after shutting down out of fear of being hurt. Take a deep breath. It might seem simple, automatic, natural. But when was the last time you truly breathed, not just with your lungs, but with your heart? When was the last time you inhaled hope and exhaled control? When did you relax your shoulders, drop your defenses, and allow yourself to feel, with no rush, no pressure? That's what begins to die when we armor ourselves. The ability to truly breathe. Shielding the heart is a defense, and we don't end up that way by accident. It comes from unhealed betrayals, from shattered trust, from love that turned into obligation. So we learn, through time and pain, that it's safer to hide, to love less, expect less, reveal less, but that less gradually steals everything from us. Yes, we stay protected, but also isolated, intact, but unreachable. We live surrounded by people, yet deeply alone. After all, how can anyone reach you if the way to your heart is sealed with passwords, alarms, and triple locks? Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4 verse 23. But guarding isn't locking. It's not freezing. It's not hiding. It means protecting in love. It's tending with presence. It's choosing to open, at the right time, to the right people, and above all, to the one who will never weaponize your vulnerabilities. The Armored Heart Syndrome teaches you that feeling hurts. And it's true, it does hurt. But what it doesn't tell you is that denying your feelings hurts even more. Because it suffocates. Because it sickens. Because it dulls life into a lukewarm zone where nothing wounds, but nothing heals either. You stop suffering deeply, but you stop loving deeply too. You stop getting disappointed, but also stop being amazed. You stop feeling frustrated, but stop dreaming too. And little by little, the heart turns to stone. It functions but no longer feels. It operates but no longer resonates. Like a beautifully tuned piano whose inner strings have snapped, no one hears the original melody anymore. To breathe again begins with something small. The choice to feel without fleeing. To pause in the middle of your routine and ask, what am I ignoring inside myself? Maybe it's a lump in the throat kind of longing. Maybe it's a wound you pretended to forgive. Maybe it's the fear of trying again and hurting again. You don't need to fix everything today, but you do need to make space. To hold that pain gently without judgment, like you would cradle a wounded child. Because the heart beats truthfully again when it feels safe to be broken, confused, grateful, and full of dreams. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36 verse 26. That promise isn't for the religious. It's for the survivors. For the emotionally exhausted. For those tired of seeming strong, who are starting to long to simply be real. So breathe. And if doing it lightly still feels hard, begin with presence. Close your eyes. Feel the air come in. Feel that you're still here. That there's breath. That there's space. And no matter how armored your heart may be, it's still beating. And if it beats, it can still love. It can still be healed. It can still open again. The next step is delicate. It will take us to the terrain where many souls stumble, self-abandonment. You are not alone. The invisible battle and the hand that never let you go. How many times have you walked the streets like a ghost of yourself? Present in body, absent in soul. The world kept moving around you, but you felt left behind. A smile on your face, automatic replies, a full schedule. On the outside, everything in order. On the inside, a silent storm. Screams muffled beneath your skin. Despair disguised as productivity. And maybe what hurts most isn't the pain itself, but the solitude of it. The fact that no one notices. No one asks twice. No one sees how your "I'm fine" became your shield. It's here, in that dark place, that a sharp yet comforting truth must be spoken. You are not alone. Even when no one saw you, someone did. Even when your faith wavered, someone remained. Even when you thought you had reached your end, someone was holding you in the unseen. The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still. Exodus 14 verse 14. This battle you carry isn't yours alone. While you unravel in silence, there is movement in the supernatural realm that logic can't grasp. While you blame yourself for falling short, there is grace fighting on your behalf, holding together what you thought had crumbled. While your mind says you've lost, heaven whispers, it's not over yet. You don't see it. You don't hear it. But His presence is there, steady, fatherly, unshakable. Loneliness is a liar. It whispers that no one cares, that your absence wouldn't matter, that your pain is irrelevant. But the truth is, there is a God who counts even your tears. You have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56 verse 8. Do you understand the weight of that? Every tear others ignored, He collected. Every sleepless night, witnessed. Every thought of giving up, answered with mercy. You might be fighting a silent war no one else has seen, but God saw. You may be walking through such dark valleys that even your faith feels asleep. But even there, He kept walking beside you, quiet, but present. And maybe, just maybe, what you've called absence is the strategic silence of someone who already won the fight for you. Fighting in silence is exhausting, but you've never been uncovered. If today, the weariness feels heavier than usual, breathe. Not like someone giving up, but like someone reconnecting. Not like someone quitting, but like someone remembering. Remember you're still here. Remember that if it weren't for Him, you wouldn't even be standing. Remember that there's a hand holding yours, even if you can't feel it yet. This is not your defeat. It's the pause between chaos and your new beginning. And that beginning starts when you realize heaven is still investing in you. It's the moment you release the weight of self-sufficiency and, for the first time in a long time, say with honesty, I can't do this on my own. And in the depths of your soul, you hear a reply that cuts through the noise. You never had to. Rebuilding after the ruin, how to become whole again when everything in you feels beyond repair. Have you ever looked inside yourself and felt like you were walking through rubble? As if a silent war had swept through and left the field of your heart devastated. No warning, no alarms, just the aftermath, just the wreckage, just the heavy silence of someone who doesn't even know where to begin. Here's the truth no one likes to say, sometimes life breaks us. And it's not always the big tragedies. Sometimes, it's the weight of the small wounds, the unspoken disappointment, the quiet emotional abandonment, the exhausting cycle of fighting just to keep things the same. Then one day, you simply stop and realize you've lost yourself. Have you been there? In that place where even smiling takes effort? Where happy memories feel irrelevant in the face of a shadowed present? Where hope seems like a beautiful but distant concept? I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. Joel 2 verse 25. That promise is for you, not just a poetic verse tossed into scripture, but a divine commitment to those who felt like it's already too late. Rebuilding isn't easy. It's exhausting, lonely in many moments, because there is a kind of grief no one talks about, the grief of losing yourself, the mourning of who you were before the pain. And no one pats you on the back for that. There's no ritual, no ceremony, just you facing the terrifying task of rebuilding something when you're not even sure there's anything left to rebuild. But here's the quiet miracle. The soul knows the way back. Even if your mind doubts, even if your body is weary, even if your faith is hanging by a thread, you don't have to start with strength. Start with presence. Start by saying, this still hurts. I haven't healed yet, but I don't want to live buried in this emotional rubble anymore. Sometimes, rebuilding is simply choosing to sweep one corner of the soul in a day. It's getting out of bed even when you don't feel like it. It's weeping during worship. It's writing yourself a letter and tearing it up afterward. Rebuilding is an art. It's slow, but it's real. And in time, yes, time coupled with grace, you begin to notice something new taking shape. You hear your own voice again. First faint, then firmer. You look in the mirror and recognize features that are still yours, even after the war. You begin to trust again. Not everyone, but yourself. Your ability to keep going, even afraid. Your ability to love, even after being abandoned. Your ability to bloom, even on trampled soil. That's what rebuilding is, not denying the ruins, but choosing to plant flowers over them. And if it still hurts, that's okay. Healing doesn't require hurry. It only asks for truth. You can take your time. Just don't stop. Because what you call the end, God calls a foundation. What you see as wreckage, He already sees as framework. He saw it all collapse. But He also already drafted the blueprint for the new. You don't have to become who you were. You can become who you were destined to be. And that person is not perfect. Wounded, yes, but also strong. And most of all, restored. The ruin is not the final chapter. It's the turning point. The proof that the worst is over. And that now, the best is being prepared. In the next, and final, step, the path opens toward rebirth. Not symbolic, not vague, but real. When pain becomes fuel. When His presence becomes your permanent shelter. When life stops being just survival and becomes mission. God continues the Bible motivation. God is speaking to you. Listen before it's too late, a deep warning to your spirit. Have you ever felt like something was watching you, even when you were alone? Ever had the sense that your life was being controlled by invisible forces? Maybe it's not paranoia. Maybe it's exactly what's happening. There are decisions you think you're making, but they're not really yours. There's a reason your life still hasn't taken off. And today, you're going to find out why. But be warned, after this, nothing will be the same. Welcome to the hidden side of reality, where what seems harmless hides the key to your downfall. And the truth? It won't comfort you. It will awaken you. Do you have the courage to watch until the end? The countdown to truth begins now. Because not everything that shines is light. Sometimes, it's a distraction. And while you're busy with the superficial, something far greater is moving behind the scenes of your mind. The real question is, who's controlling your focus? Do you really think you're in control? Careful. What you ignore is shaping you. And what you avoid is deciding your destiny. Are you ready to see what's truly behind the curtain? That's where the invisible commands lie, the ones that steer your choices. Beliefs you've never questioned. Desires that aren't really yours, though you swear they come from your heart. It's all been orchestrated. From your deepest fears to your most authentic dreams. They told you what to want, what to fear, what to accept without thinking. And you went along. But now, something shifted. You started to feel it. That there's more. That there's a code beneath the code. A hidden programming disguised as routine. Do you truly believe chance decides everything? Or are you being led exactly where they want you to go? Are you ready to break the cycle? Or will you keep calling life what is really just survival? Because the clock is ticking. And awakening is for the few. The countdown to truth begins now. You are still standing. Now is the time to live with purpose and impact the world with what remains of you. You are still standing. Not as someone who never fell, but as someone who, even broken, never stopped trying. As someone who bled in silence but kept walking. As someone who believed in the unseen, even when everything around shouted to give up. And that alone, changes everything. Because standing doesn't mean you're without wounds. It means the wounds didn't stop you. That you weren't defeated by what tried to bury you. That even after being reduced to dust, something in you still refused to die. Do you know what that is? It's purpose. That thing that keeps burning even when the world turns cold. It's the breath that lifts you when your strength gives out. It's the calling whispered on the nights when you felt forgotten. And now you're standing at a crossroads. You can either keep merely existing, or finally begin living with intention. The time has come to take your rightful place, not because of what you lost, but because of what remained, what endured, what survived the valley, the loss, the betrayal, the abandonment, the hopelessness. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. Psalm 91 verse 7. You were protected even when you didn't realize it, preserved even when you felt invisible, held up by a steady hand you couldn't see, but you could feel. And now, that same hand lifts you and says, let's go. It's time to live. But to live here doesn't mean going through the motions. It means mission. It's looking at the gifts you thought about burying and letting them bloom. It's turning your pain into a bridge, your story into healing, your journey into direction. You're not who you once were, and that's a gift. Because now you carry authority. The authority of someone who walked through the valley, who conversed with pain and still held on to faith, who was refined in the fire and came out with light in their eyes. And if you still wonder whether you're worthy, whether you're able, whether you're enough, remember this. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1 verse 6. He began it. He sustains it. He will complete it. You're not walking alone, you're being led. And when He leads, even the crooked paths become testimonies. You are someone's answer. You are the breath someone else needs. The embrace that will heal. The word that will rescue someone on the edge. You are the miracle that survived. And now, you become the vessel through which others will live. So rise. Not just physically. Rise spiritually. Rise emotionally. Rise mentally. Rise knowing your life carries a purpose far greater than your pain. Because when God stood you back up, it wasn't just for you. It was for all those still on the ground. For those still lost in the dark, waiting for a sign. Be that sign. Be the proof that there's still time. Be the fire that rekindles others. Be the water that springs up in dry places. And if you still have doubts, look back. You've already survived things that once made you believe there would be no after. And yet, here you are. Standing, breathing, feeling, ready. The world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your presence. Your imperfect love. Your honest restart. Your trembling light. You are not the same anymore. And that is exactly why you're ready. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Someone, somewhere in this digital world, is at the edge of their own abyss. And your voice could be their bridge. Share it. Tag someone. Repost with courage. Because if it reached you, it was always meant to remind you. You didn't survive by accident. You were preserved for a purpose. Now is the time to impact. And live like someone whose eyes carry light, and whose heart carries fire. What was the strongest? Which part changed your vision? Subscribe, share it with at least 3 people, and stay with us. Your financial future has started now. Enjoy what God has prepared for you. Seek God with all your heart, and thank you for watching until the end. This proves that you are on the right path. Do you want to check if you are already subscribed? Tell me here and share this video with someone that God showed you. Multiply, share, and thank them. May God bless you. And until the next video, God continues the Bible motivation.